Oh, hey, we're live. Welcome, Tim Harris. My lovely wife is Julie Harris. She might pop in any moment, but don't hold your breath. So I've got 30 minutes with you guys, and I'm going to give you three, and I might sneak a fourth tip in about specific things that you can do to build your revenue share group. Why should you listen to Julie and I about this? We started about 4 years ago, and we have sponsored on average one person a week, every single week for the past almost 4 years. Now, some of them were, don't think we did it every single week, week after week. Sometimes it was 3 people, other times it was no people, but you get the idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the formula. I'm going to tell you our very simplistic system that we used ourselves, that we still use to this day, we'll use forever, and then we show other people how to use. And you decide whether or not it's for you. So the first thing first, I want you to start out with, on your notes, you should have notes, draw a ladder. And I want you to draw a ladder with, let's just start out with 5, rungs, right? So the ladder is just exactly like I described it. Ladder, rungs, right? So go ahead and do that now. Do that in your notes. If you don't do this, don't do it mentally. Do it actually writing it down, drawing the picture. Because once you do it, once we go through these points, the ladder's going to make all kinds of sense. And you're going to be thrilled that you actually took this seriously. So now what I want you to do is, now some of you aren't going to know the answer to this question right away, so just bear with me, I'll give you a solution. Each of those rungs represents something that is a financial burden to you that you'd rather not have anymore, right? There's a lot of those, especially in this economy. So it might be your house payment, it might be a car payment, it might be, you guys get the idea, insurance, utilities, food, whatever, all the things you have to pay for. And I want you to break it down. So don't make the mistake of saying household expenses and making that one rung. Break the household expenses down to individual rungs. And again, I gave you some samples, but it might be your house payment. Then it might be your homeowner's insurance payment. It might be now, you guys get the idea. If you don't know what all your individual bills are, because frankly, a lot of people just have things set on auto pay, that's normal, don't panic, but for the sake of this exercise, it would be good if you knew this. Maybe go back and revisit this and do it again later. And that'll help you out a lot. So each rung represents something that is a financial burden to you. And I'm using those words intentionally because that's really what they are. Things you have to pay for. Things that if you don't work, if you don't transact, if the money doesn't come in, that bill is not getting paid. So the first thing I would suggest for all of you put down is, generally speaking, you want to put down the smallest bills first and work your way up, climb your way up to paying off the biggest things. But also, think in terms of, the smallest bills that are absolutely necessary, not voluntary. So for example, if you're thinking gas bill, good. If you're thinking electric bill, that's perfect. Cell phone bill, that's good. But if you're thinking, well, the money I spend when I go to Starbucks, that's not good. I want these to be the actual drilled on fixed costs that you have to pay for every single month. And here's what we're going to do. Each of the rungs, and it's okay if you start out small. Maybe the first one's your electric bill, that's $100, right? No big deal. What the goal here is, and what I'm going to walk you guys through on how to do, is you're going to be building your revenue share, your passive income from EXP, and you're going to be building it around the idea that you're going to be essentially working towards having each of those financial burdens be taken away from revenue share. So if your first one's your electric bill, and that's $50 a month or $100 a month, well, then goal number 1 is from revenue share, earn $50 or $100 a month. Now that might not seem like a big deal, but I'll suggest to you that it is a big deal because that's one less thing financially that's a financial burden to you. So the little things you don't necessarily feel. But what's going to happen is if you've actually created this, some people call it a wealth chart, but the latter thing seems to work for a lot of people too because you can visualize it. Once you've essentially covered the cost of 3, 4, 5, maybe 10 of those things that are on your ladder, then basically you're financially free. And what this ladder is sitting in a hole. You just didn't know it. So you don't know you're in a hole. But here's the deal. That ladder's there. And if you don't climb out of that hole, you're never going to be free. After you climb the ladder and you've escaped from the hole, you're financially free. And I'm going to give you Julie and I's, this is in our book, Harris Rules too. Great book to get for yourself or a loved one during the holiday gift giving season, I must say. And it is festive green, by the way, the book cover. So here's the idea. Rich is what your goal is. Oh, Tim, I find that word somewhat off-putting. I get it, but let me give you a definition. Rich is where your money works for you and you no longer have to work for your money. That's it. So if the total amount of money you have to earn every month is, and the total value of all the rungs, right? Let's say it's 5,000, 7,000, whatever it is. Once you have that money coming in passively from revenue share, you are by definition rich, where your money is working for you and you no longer have to work for your money. I'm going to take a quick sidestep. I'm talking fast on purpose because there's a couple other points I want to cover with you guys in the 30 minutes we have allotted here. So for you need to really understand the power of revenue share and really understand how significant of an opportunity it is. And I'll use a personal example. So Julie and I have dozens of rental properties, probably 95% of them are paid off, no loans. And they're a blessing. Julie and I have been married for 31 years. We've been buying them since we were in our early 20s. Okay. But the amount of work to this day, the amount of, financial sacrifice to buy those properties, the whole thing, not passive income. And over the years, Julie and I have always prioritized having rental properties. By the time I was 40, and Julie was almost 40, that we would have enough money coming in paid off from the paid off rental properties. We wouldn't have to work anymore. We accomplished that goal, but we actually were able to surpass the amount of net income we were making from our rental properties at EXP after about 18 months. That's kind of extraordinary. And so I get asked sometimes about rental properties. Would you still buy rental properties? The answer is, I don't know. Because the reality of it is if you can make enough money without all the risk and the hassle, and frankly, the sacrifice it takes to buy rental properties, because you got to save up for the down payment. You're going to have to put time into it. There's going to be all the hassle that comes with rental properties. If you don't have to do that anymore and you can earn more net money from EXP revenue share, well, I think if I had to do it all over again and EXP was an opportunity when Julie and I first got married, I promise you we'd be putting all of our best efforts toward building revenue share, because it is, again, the quickest way out of the hole to establish, to create financial freedom to yourself. And I'm going to share one other thought for you. You guys have to really think about this. So if you had $1 million and you had it invested in let's say you buy treasury bonds or even a dividend paying stock, the most you're going to make from that, it might go up, it might go down. It's going to be about $40,000 a year. In order to have $1 million, to earn $40,000 a year, you're going to have to earn in some parts of the country, if you have state and federal taxes, you're going to have to have earned around $2 million. What's the likelihood, I say this respectfully with love, what's the likelihood of any of you being able to save up $2 million or earn $2 million like after expenses, right? That's your net profit. Pay the taxes on it, then have $1 million left over that you can invest in the stock market or buy rental properties. I hope you're understanding the point I'm trying to make. In the 30 plus years Julie and I have been married, and almost 25 years we've been in the real estate business, EXP revenue share is without a doubt the most incredible business opportunity for anybody, so take it very seriously. That is what the rungs of the ladder are. They're the quickest way to financial freedom. Julie and I call it the seventh wonder of the world, right? And it's only available to licensees. All right, moving forward. So point number 2, I talked about the revenue share ladder. That was point number 1. Point number 2 is you got to know the product, and you don't have to have it memorized or really even internalized. You know the product. The product is EXP. You got to think of yourself as a recruiter. You are selling EXP. If you're confused about that, they're going to perceive, the person you're trying to recruit is going to perceive that you're confused about that, and they're not going to think you are very serious about it. Think about what I just said. They want to be sponsored by somebody they know is confident and comfortable with EXP. Now, you will not know the answers to all the questions. I do not know all the answers to all the questions. There are a lot of details and nuances. So what you got to do is create your EXP playbook. And I'll give you some ideas on that, because EXP now compared to 4 years ago is so organized. There's so many people that are there to help you. EXP Family Tree, I would suggest all of you guys to join that workplace Facebook group. They're doing some impressive things in there. I pop in there occasionally and just monitor, just watch, I really love what they're doing. You got to go and understand the onboarding process, know where all the links are, because here's why. Write all those down, and there's different EXP places where websites, internal websites, you can get access to, where it gives you all the links and tells you all the key people. Go on a hunting expedition and gather all those. What we created for our revenue share group, and you guys can copy as much from it as you'd like to, and it's only some of the information is obsolete. We're updating it over the next couple months. Is ylibertas.com/Harris. That's our own recruiting site. And so that's important to my next point. So we created essentially a pre-listing pack for agents that we are going to be talking to about joining EXP, being personally sponsored by Julie. It's the revenue share group's under her name. So again, it's ylibertas, and Libertas is LIBERTAS.com/Harris. That is our page. So here's the process. I'm on my third point, right? Yeah, third point. Here's the process. you got to be really clear. Like Julie and I in our coaching business, we teach agents the 7-step listing process. Everything is a step. Everything is a predictable, duplicatable process, right? And if it's not, you're not going to have a duplicatable, predictable outcome. So let's say, however you originally generated the lead, maybe it's an agent you know, maybe it's someone from Facebook, maybe you have some social media where you're generating leads, it doesn't matter. So the first thing is, however the contact comes in, the experience has to be the same so you can duplicate it every single time. And so you know, frankly, that you're not going to lose anything between the cracks. Personally, I am a fan of CRMs for the sake of EXP attraction, but really ultimately, I think EXP attraction comes down to, well, you know what, I'm going to save that for the next point. Okay, right. So number one, however you generate the contact. Number two, after you generate the contact, you want to send them a link to the videos. Now, the reason I mentioned the Libertas site is the videos I ask everyone to watch are the 3 videos that are on that ylibertas.com Harris site. I asked them all to watch that site. So if you are setting an appointment with me, let's say you just texted me, Tim, I'm interested in learning more about EXP. I'd say, great. Are you ready to join today or do you need more information? 90% of them say I need more information. I'd say, I understand perfectly. So here's what I'm going to do. Here's this website. Please watch these videos. And I'll follow up with you tomorrow about the same time as whatever it is now. So if it's 4 o'clock, I'll follow up with them tomorrow at 4 o'clock. You guys get it? Then I'll text them or I might call them and then I'll just simply say, so great. Did you watch the videos? They'll say yes. Like normally I'll text them first before I call them. And that way I avoid a bunch of questions that would have been answered in the video. So I'll say, and again, I'm telling you guys this because I want you to be really clear. I don't have all the answers to all the questions. And when I get a question that I don't know the answer to, which I do practically every day, honestly, I'll tell them, you know what, that's a great question. I'm going to write it down and I'll get the answer to it. And then I get the answer to it. And, Julie and I sponsored around 200 people, and I have no problem whatsoever expressing my ignorance because it happens frequently. And it unburdens you from thinking you have to know it all because no one knows it all. And there's new stuff coming out all the time, as you guys know. So I send them the link to ylibertas.com/Harris, ask them to watch the 3 videos on there, then tell them I'll follow up about the same time tomorrow. And then prior to following up, I'll text them, how's it going? Did you have a chance to watch those videos? If they say no, then I'm not going to call them. I'm going to try to avoid calling them. I'm going to say, okay, well, you want me to call you later today, or you want me to call you again sometime tomorrow, whatever it is. I want them to watch those videos. If they don't watch, especially the second video, it's going to be very difficult to, frankly, get them to move forward and join EXP. And because there's too many little nuanced differences. And the nice thing about that video, it's Brent Gove's video, by the way, is that it's designed to appeal to people of all different, new agent, experienced agent, team agent, someone who's just interested in, has no interest in revenue, or they just really want to focus on, real estate sales or whatever, commission splits, team building, all the rest of it. That video encapsulates the rest of it. We considered trying to do our own, but you know what? Brent really nailed it, so why try to recreate it? Which, by the way, is something also good to remember. Don't try to recreate the wheel. There's so much amazing stuff that people have already done. Just use what they've already done. Julie and I aren't even part of Brent's group. We're not even in his tree. We're in a different one, but he knows we're using it. It's great. This is, again, the magic of EXP. Everyone legitimately is here to help each other, which is, it's unreal. And at almost 100,000 agents, it's clear that culture is something that's deeply rooted in the heart and soul of the EXP agents. And hopefully you're feeling that as well. By the way, that's the reason I'm doing this video. All right, so next you're going to have, after you set the appointment, after you've texted and confirmed that they've watched the videos, then what you're going to do is you're going to follow up. And this is all I do. Remember I said I text them prior to the call. So I'll text them and I'll say, did you watch the videos? Yes, great. Are you ready to join EXP now, or would you like me to call and answer, 1 or 2 lingering questions? And at that point, I would say it's 50-50, the number that are ready to join at that moment versus me having to call them. I know that'll blow some of you away, but it's true, and that's how it works. Because the videos do such a great job of answering the questions. And the thing you got to get in your mind is ultimately, you're not selling them into joining EXP. And again, I'm going to get to this point in a second. Hopefully I have time. But you're not selling them into EXP. They've already decided that they're going to join EXP. They're just trying to decide if they want you to be their sponsor. That's it. You got to be really clear about that. All you're doing there is you're just essentially trying to, you're getting in the way of them joining EXP, just like kind of like if you were to go and list a house, right? House is going to sell on its own. You get the listing, and now you're going to help transact that. Same concept. I'm oversimplifying it, but you get the idea. So don't think you have to sell EXP. If you're in this situation where you're having to explain why it's not an MLM and go through all these objection handlers, that's not somebody you want to be spending a lot of time with. They're just going to wear you out. Move on to the next one, hoping I can get to my point number 4, the bonus point. Talking fast, trying to do it. Wish me luck. All right. So then what I'll do is I'll call up and I'll say this, something along these lines. I'll call him up. I'll say, hey, Bob, this is Tim. Hi, how, we call starts. I say, so Bob, listen, at this point, I found that most folks, when I'm talking to them after they've watched the video, they have maybe 1 or 2 lingering questions that they want to have answered before they're ready to move forward with me and join EXP. So what are your lingering questions? If that happens, 90% of the time, they're going to ask questions that were already answered in the video. Really all they're wanting to do, if you really kind of cut through it, is they're wanting to feel emotionally connected to the person that will be sponsoring him. And that's right as rain. Fine. Happy to do it. My pleasure, my honor. And then, now the last part, this is incredibly critical. I've said this a billion times, and I bet you no one's listened to me, but I promise you it's really important. Do the application with them on the phone or on a Zoom or whatever. Don't just send them the link and tell them to fill it out. Because what they're going to do is they're going to lose momentum. They're going to get distracted. The application takes, if they're readers, it's going to take like 40 minutes. If they're not, it's still going to take like 25 or 30 minutes. There's 2 videos in there, one of which is long and they have to watch. So you have to sit there and show respect to the person that's choosing you as a sponsor and be there in case they need any help. I tell them things like, only fill out the part that have asterisks. They might ask about which board of realtors they're going to join. They're going to ask questions about, should I join the agent equity program? Things like that. Go through that. You went through that when you joined, and then help them fill out the application. Again, I personally think that shows respect. I think it shows disrespect not to be there when they're making this critical decision of filling out the application. All right, let's see. And that usually is the end of that. Now, again, I'll give you this bonus point. When they're in onboarding, don't, after you get the email, congratulations, so-and-so has named you as a sponsor. What's really important is that you don't just stop following up. It's sort of like getting something in contract and not hand-holding that customer through the pending process. Huge mistake. Yes, EXP's onboarding does wonderfully. Yes, some of us have our own private onboarding like Julie and I do that works with the EXP's onboarding, but you want to keep in contact with that agent to make sure they're following up on the emails and the communication they're getting from onboarding so they get everything done. Otherwise, they're going to basically fall out of contract, or they're going to lose interest, get distracted, something's going to happen. Do not just get them sponsored and then walk away from them. Don't do it. Stay with them the whole process. After they're in EXP, make sure that they get started. Did you get your KV course set up? Did you get this done? Did you get that done? Have a checklist of the things you're supposed to do. All these checklists, by the way, are available on EXP. All this stuff has been created. It's all readily available. And if you're for example, if you're not comfortable and confident having those easy conversations, frankly, with these prospective agents, look in your family tree and find out who's upline from you, and then actually you can find out in my EXP too. And if you see, most of you, all of you are going to have a big recruiter, someone who's actually done a lot of recruiting. Ask that person to help you. You're in their group. You're in one of their 7 levels. They're going to help you. I promise you. And and they'll be there and they'll help you get that agent recruited. All right, now the last point. I think I got enough time. All right, so I wrote down 4 points, and the last one's my favorite one. I learned this from Dave Kennard, president of EXP. Number 1, I learned this from Jay Kender, and it's totally true. When recruiting, when sponsoring, it's easier to go faster than it is to go slow. Set unrealistic goals for yourself has a high probability of you failing at when it comes to recruiting agents. Why am I saying that? Because it is, you're not selling agents EXP. They're going to buy it anyway. And you want to have as many deliberate conversations about EXP with as many agents as you can. You got to do it tactfully. You don't want to be one of these agents that are just unprofessionally trying to recruit agents. Again, I didn't have time to talk more about how to go about creating leads funnels and all the rest of that good stuff. But at the end of the day, here's the thing I want you to hopefully understand. Every single agent is one of 2 things. They're EXP curious or they're looking for a sponsor. That's it. There's not very many people, very, very rarely do you have someone that just completely has their mind shut to EXP. EXP is about to enter, because of, frankly, this economy, a massive, unprecedented growth spurt. You got to be part of that. So don't make this too complicated. Listen to me. Getting an agent to join EXP with you as their sponsor is a billion times easier than getting a listing. True story. So don't mess it up in your head thinking it's more complicated than it is, because it's not. Number two, it's easier to go fast than go slow. I'll set this as an example. You're pulling back a bow and arrow, right? Sorry for pointing my arrow like this, right? And you're shooting it down range. There's a target, and there's bullseye, and there's all these other rings. If you're shooting this thing down range, that's not too many yards, let's say 50 yards or whatever, and you want to hit bullseye, are you aiming at the target, at bullseye, above the target, or below the target if your goal is to hit bullseye? You have to, because of the arc, because of, gravity, you're going to have to aim above the target. If you aim above the target, the arrow is going to fly gracefully, bink, you let it go, it's going to fly gracefully, and it's going to hit dead center. That's the reason that I'm encouraging all of you to set unrealistic goals, because when you don't hit them, you're still going to far exceed if setting realistic goals. You have to go fast, don't go slow. Don't say in 5 years, you won't do it. Say in 6 months, say in 90 days, say in 30 days, and get to work. Number two, make sure you always are scheduling yourself for recruiting. In our first month, between people that came in and people that were signed up to come in there and onboarding, we sponsored 43 people. How did we do it? Every single day, starting really in probably December of the previous year, I got on the phone, I started doing everything I'm telling you guys to do, and that's what I did. I did it every afternoon for probably 2 or 3 hours. Now, I did it, I enjoyed it, it was fun, and man, was it worth doing. Same will be for you. You don't have to be a big name in real estate or a big influencer or have a big coaching company or write books or all the rest of it. If you see the list of the top 50 agents in EXP, Julie and I are 25, 26, or 27, right? And all the people above us, you probably have never heard their names before. If you go all the way down to 50, really all the way down to 100, you don't really know any of these people. The point I'm trying to make is you do not need to be a big rock star in real estate to have a big revenue share group. And matter of fact, the people that have big revenue share groups that have, even if you are a big influencer, a top producing agent, that doesn't mean you're going to have a big revenue share group. You have to put in the effort. You have to work. You have to actually do it. Okay, next point. Always have your freedom ladder someplace you can see it, and celebrate your victories. Boom, you've got 50. I had somebody come in that joined about 60 days ago, Dan Lesniak, and Dan is about to receive his first revenue share check or revenue share transfer. It's going to happen this month, and I think it's going to be between $5,000 and $10,000. So how did he do it that fast? He did exactly what I'm talking about. And when he had somebody that he wanted help with, he put me on a Zoom. Matter of fact, right before the start of this, I saw he scheduled me for another Zoom. That's what a powerful upline will do for you. All of you have a powerful upline. Might not be the person that sponsored you, might be 5 people up, but drill down and they will help you sponsor. That's where I spend I'll set aside an hour or maybe 2 hours a day just to help people in our group sponsor agents. I love doing it. It's fun. Sponsoring agents is it's definitely something I enjoy doing. Anything else in our long careers other than maybe the podcast. The podcast is a lot of fun. All right, so next point, and this is really important, and this is what I was hoping to share with you guys. I want you to imagine you're in a lifeboat, and you're in your lifeboat. It's maybe the Titanic just went down. There's people in the water everywhere. The water's cold. They're going to freeze to death. There's sharks in the water. Sounds scary? It is scary. Here, there's 3 kinds of people in the water, and I'm going to describe each of these and tell you why this is important. You have people that are swimming away from you. You're saying, I am here. I'm in my lifeboat. I can save you. All you've got to do is swim up to me. We'll pull you up in the boat. You'll be safe. You'll be dry. You don't have to worry about the sharks. There's people that are swimming away from you. They can hear you saying it. They don't care. They're thinking there's no other boats in sight. There's no other islands in sight. There's nothing in sight. They're just in their heads thinking, I don't need you. I'm going to figure it out on my own. I'm going to make friends with these sharks, and I don't know what the hell I'm going to do, but they're swimming away. God bless you. Have a nice swim. Number 2, you have people that are swimming in circles. And this is what a lot of people are doing right now. They're swimming in circles. Should I get in the boat? Should I swim away? Should I get in the boat? Should I swim away? Should I get in the boat? Should I swim away? Right? Some of you are like that. Frankly, Julie and I were like that before we joined EXP too. Should we join? Should we join? Right? And that was 4 years ago. But this economy is causing a lot of people not to think clearly. So circular people. You're shouting. Some of them are going to stop swimming in circles and going to swim towards you. A lot of them are going to keep swimming in circles. Okay, that's that group of people. Some of them are going to get in your boat. A lot of them are not. Then you have the people that are swimming towards you. And they're saying, hey, Tim, Julie, I'm ready to get in your boat. Help me up. I'm ready to go. I want to be saved. I do not want to freeze to death. I do not want to die. I want to, I don't want to be in the water any longer. That's fine. Come in my boat. Here's what you got to focus on. Do not focus on the people that are swimming away from you. Those are the ones that are saying, I heard it's a pyramid scheme or blah, 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 blah. Bye-bye. Have a nice swim. Do not waste your time with those people. They're just not, it's not their time. And number two, the people that are swimming in circles, that's where a lot of agents that are trying to recruit waste way too much time. You get somebody that strings you along, that acts like they're interested. I go through my process with them, like I described. And they'll maybe sometimes say, it's not for me. I don't want to join EXP right now. And you'll say, okay, I appreciate that. I respect that. But promise me this one thing. When you do, swing back to thinking about joining EXP, you just keep Julie and I in mind. That's all I ask. And that does work. We've had people who I talked to 2-3 years ago who are joining, who kept their word. That's all you can ask. You can follow up with them and drip on them till the cows come home. I don't. If you don't, after that process, we're not following up with you. And if you don't decide to join, 2 or 3 years in the future after you spoke with us, that's fine. Because I don't want to have a false sense of security from having a long list of people I'm following up with, because that'll make me complacent. I just want to focus on, this is what we teach in our coaching program too, focus on the people that are actually swimming towards your boat and get them in. This goes for real estate leads too. Hopefully you guys are thinking about that. So the people that are swimming in circles, some of them will change direction and get in your boat. A lot of them, will keep swimming in circles. That's just their nature. They don't want, I don't think I can recruit, or I don't know what an online real estate brokerage is, or I blah, 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 blah. I like my broker. I'm just not ready. God bless you. That's fine. When you're ready to get in the boat's here. It won't be here forever, because eventually we have to paddle off ourselves. But for now, we're here. Then the people that are in your boat. Focus on the people that are swimming towards you. If you don't have enough people that are swimming towards you, do not be seduced into believing that you have to try to convince people that are swimming away from you. That'll burn you out. You only have to, it's like, it basically is trying to motivate an unmotivated seller to sell their house or price it right. If you pre-qualified a seller and they're not motivated to sell, and if I get my price, if pigs fly. So Mr. Seller, once this home goes sells, where do we go next? I have no idea. It doesn't matter. I don't care if, that, right? And we teach you guys how to do all that in our coaching program to determine whether or not they're motivated or not. Don't list the unmotivated ones. Don't try to chase and waste time with the unmotivated agents out there who are not ready to join EXP. Again, why? Because you need to have fewer leads, not a bunch of leads. And those fewer leads you have are the ones that are swimming towards you, or the ones that are slowing their circular swim and ready to change direction to swim towards you. Dave Kennard taught me that. One of the most valuable lessons that, frankly, I've ever learned with recruiting. And it's something I share with everybody. So thank you, Dave, for that. And the last bit is, I want you to always remember that you guys are in a blessed position. You're selling something, real estate, that everybody needs. So no matter how bad the economy gets, no matter what interest rates do, what the political situation is, no matter what's happening in this part of the world, that part of the world, you were smart enough to get a real estate license, and you're selling something that everybody needs. A home to live in, whether it's going to be a home to live in that is owned by a landlord, or it's their own home. Maybe they want to buy a second home. Like Julie and I are in our cabin right now in Appalachia, someplace up on a mountain, right? If you're wondering. Yeah. So that is something that is unlike virtually everything else that's for sale right now. Everybody will always need a home to live in. Not everyone's going to necessarily need a new car. Not everyone's necessarily going to need to go out to a restaurant or need to, you guys get the point. You're selling a must-have, not a want-to-have. That's a blessing. And you're also, here's the beautiful thing about recruiting in EXP. Think about what I'm saying. You are selling something. I'm using the word selling just to encapsulate this, efficiently. You're selling something that all of them need, a broker, right? And EXP is exceptional. There's nothing like EXP. There's no comparisons. Here, I'll give you one little advanced tip. Absolutely positively get to know the extraordinary team that is at EXP that's there to help you recruit agents. If you get a broker or a team and they are trying to compare expenses and understand what the financial advantage is, that's a thing for them, which it should be. You can actually leverage an existing team inside EXP, and they will, once they get the P&L from that agent or that team or that broker, they'll then compare the before and after. Before is what you have now, after is what you have with EXP. We do, that's one of the best things ever to do for teams and brokers, because the amount of money they can save. Right now, we've got someone that signed as on our second level. He just signed up. He's with Century 21. He's moving over to EXP. Did his application today. He's going to save. Are you ready for this? It's a new record. Over $400,000 being with EXP. If that doesn't excite you, being able to help somebody save $400,000, especially in this economy, nothing will. You guys get it? So when you're recruiting, you're always telling them good news. You're telling them how they're going to make more money. You're telling them how they're going to be able to build revenue share if it interests them. You're going to tell them how they're going to get stock options, how they can leverage healthcare, how they can, you guys, realize where you are. You're in the right place at the right time. Do not, which is my last point, be very, very careful who you associate with in real life and who you associate with online. Because the people, you've heard all this before, you are the accumulation of your 5 closest friends. Well, guess what? Now you're the accumulation of everything you hear online, everything you read. And you're also the other agents who are trying to recruit. So some agent has, I'm going to recruit 3 people this year. You don't want to, God bless them, but you want to be associating with someone who says, I want to recruit 30 people this year, or I'm going to recruit 12 people this year. I'm really going to drill down and I'm going to make the most of this opportunity. Gravitate towards those people, the big thinkers, the people that know that this is, I really truly believe it's the greatest opportunity for real estate agents. Whoever invented the 6% commission, that's probably number 1. This revenue share is number 2. So this is a blessing. You're in the right place at the right time. And by the way, this is the best time of year to be recruiting agents. So set unrealistic goals, aim above the target, focus on the people that are swimming towards you, and you are going to make more money passively from the EXP revenue share than you can possibly imagine. Hopefully this helped all of you. If you want to connect with Julie and I more, easiest way is just go to Instagram and message us at, it's at Tim and Julie Harris. You can also find our podcast, really. That's really the best way. A lot of you already listen to the podcast. But if you don't, you can just go to Google and just Google Tim and Julie Harris podcast. It's called Real Estate Training and Coaching Radio, and you'll find it. And that's, I'm told, the number 1 listened to daily podcast for real estate professionals in the United States. We'll typically have 15 up to 40,000 people downloaded a day, agents downloaded a day. So however we can help you, we're always here to serve. Thank you, and hopefully you got something from